Phoenix, chip your way your shell and come to me. I have something to talk to you about.
I'm Fiend.
And I'm Cube. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's another emergency slush.
I thought we were done with Egg. I really thought we were done.
You're like the Akkas when they put Frill in the box and we're like, we're done with her now. We never have to worry about her again. You fool. It's still there waiting for you for its revenge.
What a fool.
It's time for our second special slushie that's based around a Reddit post.
Well, I mean, technically, at least this time, it isn't the person, like, posting on Reddit.
Yeah.
It's an interview.
So here's the thing. So we had a lot of theories. I was half kidding about some of this stuff for how the production of Wonder Egg Priority was so seemingly broken. And it turns out that with the BluRay, they included in the booklet an interview with the writer that answers a lot of questions that we'd had and is the most amazing thing I've ever read, basically.
Yeah, like you said, we joked about the idea that, you know, like, it's weird how the Frill thing just sort of seemed to come up out of nowhere. And it's like, it's weird how the teacher was played as sort of creepy and possibly a predator up until the last minute. Why would that happen? Like, why would the director make those choices?
It's almost like some people working on the visuals of the show didn't know what the writers were thinking. Almost.
Should we start with the biggest thing from this interview?
I don't know. I feel like we have to go in order.
Okay.
I feel like we have to go on this journey together.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's a fair way to go.
It's in Q&A format with an interviewer.
We should point out, of course, is that we're reading a translation of this interview. So it is possible that some things have been translated poorly. You know, so we're not sure. There could be mistakes. It's just worth acknowledging there could be mistakes that paint this writer in an unfair light.
Yeah, though I don't think this is a translation done by someone who hates the show or whatever. We found it on the fan Reddit. It seems to be translated in good faith and everything. There are a few things where the English is kind of wonky, and I'll just assume that's a translation thing.
Yeah.
And not like, wow, he can't talk. Or, you know.
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay, so Mr. Nojima, which is, the writer's name, is a popular writer that has created a number of well-received live-action dramas. What was it like for you to work on an animated film for the first time?
Do you want me to be him?
I was considering whether he should have a voice, but yeah, if you want to be him.
What I enjoy most is writing stories for young people. When you try to make a drama for prime time, you have to broaden the target audience to the greatest common denominator. In addition, in recent years, the younger generation have been drifting away from television. So I looked for the ideal way to tell my next story, and I found it in late-night anime. I want to make something that makes people think, or at least talk, amongst themselves. Succeeded.
Success!
I wanted to come up with a story that has some form of depth. I think that anime fans have a high level of literacy. They don't just watch a show and think, that was interesting, or this was boring. They come up with their own interpretation. Mm-hmm. They also try to develop it on their own through secondary creations, fan art, fan fiction, doujins. I wanted to confront these people. Whenever I write a hit drama, I just happen to be pointed at by the Times.
I think they probably meant to say it just happens.
Yeah,
point it?
Not sure what that means. But I don't think that what I write is the type of thing that many young people would watch. So I felt like I should try going for a different type of audience this time around. I do think it's interesting that he thinks Wonder Egg was aimed at a young audience.
Yeah, so Wonder Egg is a seinen anime that aired on late-night Japanese TV, which, for people who don't know how anime works on Japanese TV, a lot of the shows like this basically air at night, like infomercials. They pay the networks to air them, and it's basically just an ad for the BluRay and such. So the idea that it's aimed at young people while also being the super edgy thing that's in the time slot for adults and is a seinen, it's like, what?
Yeah, I think it also speaks to, like, there's some people who might say that, well, if you're going to deal with these sort of stories are for mature audiences, and they've got, these are for people who are grown up and they're serious topics. And it's like, well, he was aiming this at kids. He was aiming this at younger people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, the idea of I really want to reach the younger generation, so I told a story that's completely full of sexual assault and shit. It's like, cool.
And that tells you that the older man is trustworthy and you shouldn't have doubted him.
Yeah, for the kids.
Yeah.
Always trust men that want to paint you privately in their room, and don't ever think that they might be rapey, because that would just be your foolish own inner thoughts.
Oh, it's so fucked. It's so fucked.
And the whole thing about, like, I like how they develop it on their own through secondary creations, blah, blah, blah. That seems so hubristic to me.
Yeah, yeah. Because like you got to have a fucking hit before that happens. Like you can't just they're not just all going to go out and make stuff.
Yeah.
It's just amazing because the whole thing is like, you know, it's not one of the biggest things you notice in Wonder Egg, but it definitely has that vibe of old man writes for the kids and tries to write about the kids without not really knowing much about the kids.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff in there that's sort of, come on, man.
Kids be on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you want to go on the next question?
Sure.
What are the important points of this work?
The first thing I thought was that if I was going to create an animation project, I wanted to make something that was impossible to do with live action. I've seen some of the recent anime works, and I think that if you lean too much towards fantasy, it becomes harder to watch for people not used to anime. So I decided to combine the expression of anime with elements of live action drama in order to narrow that gap. For that reason, I forbid myself from using magic to create a completely fake world, and I asked the director, Shin Wakabayashi, to create the coming-of-age drama of an ordinary girl. What?
There's nothing fanciful about Wonder Egg. He really, really wanted it to not be fanciful.
I love these fucking... I mean, look, just putting that aside for a minute, I love these guys who don't work in anime and stuff who come into it going, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be... Like with fucking Genlock and Grey saying, all of anime is too moe, so I'm going to make an anime for adults. If this guy coming in and saying, oh, anime is full of magic, so I'm going to like be the one that's serious and grounded. It's like... There's a ton of fucking anime that's just got no magic and is serious and grounded. I mean, Cloverworks was making Horimiya at the same time they were making this. They're fucking annoying.
And in terms of like anime for people who aren't used to anime, this is not in that category whatsoever.
No, it's far too fantastic, aside from anything else. This is something I run into a bit as like an anime fan when you want to try and tell people who don't watch anime to like maybe try out a couple of shows. You gotta be so careful.
It is a difficult issue.
Yeah, because like people who aren't used to it, it's like, okay, so you got to be careful at recommending a show that's too violent, that's too rapey, there's too many kids, like, you know, being sort of semi-sexualized.
Okay, so Wonder Egg.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's like, I can't recommend this thing. This is not the everybody anime. This is way too full on.
You know, when I showed you episode 11, I'm sure what you were thinking was, this sure is very grounded. I would like if it was a little less realistic.
I just love the idea that, no, there's no magic. Like, did he think that because the boys were scientists, that means it's not magic when they made a daughter?
Yeah, it's just that, you know, like, sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic kind of thing. It's like... It's just magic. Like, when you watch the first episode, you aren't like, oh, that isn't actually fanciful because we find out later that they said that it was actually science, actually. It's not how this works.
Yeah. And, like, there's nothing... If Egg had worked, if Egg had been a good show, there would have been nothing wrong with it being fantastical. Because, like he says at the start, that's the whole point of doing something in an animated context.
Yeah.
You can do shit that's almost impossible to do in live action. And that's what we were down for. We were down for a show that did metaphorical weird shit in order to tell a story. But no, apparently it was like super grounded.
It's awesome. You teamed up with the NTV producer that worked on some of your live action drama works. So this is one of the people that we could blame for how this happened. How did the partnership work?
I actually don't know much about anime staff or studios, so I just hoped he could find a studio and director that would guarantee the quality of the work. And he introduced me to Aniplex, Cloverworks, and the very talented director, Wakabayashi?
Wakabayashi. Yeah, Wakabayashi.
Cloverworks, and the very talented director, Wakabayashi. Now, read the next question, because I think this is the important bit.
Yeah, okay, so this is one of the juiciest bits. Were there many discussions about the content of the script?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? Because the director and the writer, you would think, would discuss the show, right?
Yeah.
Like, the director would want to know stuff about the show and where it's going.
The idea that you would even imply that the director and writer weren't in constant contact is absurd.
Yeah. So, were there many discussions about the content of the scripts? No, I didn't. I just kept writing and sending the scripts. I knew that the best way to make a good show was to give it to the director and his team and let them make it as they wanted. I had a bad experience with the producer. Laughs. Even if they are wrong, I think flaws are part of the strength for young creators. They are naturally more knowledgeable about anime than I am. If this work is good, I think the biggest factor is that I was able to work with the director.
You didn't have a back and forth.
It's possible that he had all the scripts done before the show started. Maybe.
No, it's not.
But...
Phoenix, are you already forgetting something later in this interview?
Am I? Oh, shit. Maybe I am.
We know that's not the case.
Yeah, okay, forget me. The director was running blind. The director would get one script at a time and had no idea what was going to happen next. Imagine trying to fucking direct a show and set up anything into the future based on that system. But it explains everything. It explains why that fucking teacher was creepy beforehand, because the scripts made him look creepy.
Yeah, so they just naturally assumed he was supposed to be creepy.
Yeah.
Oops.
The scripts, like, I almost feel like this director is blameless. Because it's a horrible assignment.
Oh, yeah. How do you... I also want to know the thing about I had a bad experience with the producer. It's like, on something else, what happened? Are you hard to work with and you're blaming the producer? I want the details on that.
If this is how he works, who would run a show like this? Who would deliberately run a show like this? Because the other thing is to remember is that, like, this show was sort of a production disaster. They fucking ran late and missed a slot. I feel like this had to be caused partially by the way the fucking scripts were being handled. I feel like that's a decent bet that's what was part of the problem.
Oh yeah, if you're trying to do an entire anime production and every episode is very much like its own vacuum and you can't plan things, because consider, like, once you find out that frill is going to exist super late in the process, it's a whole new, thing of concept art and settings and everything that you have to do fresh because that wasn't in the original plan. Nobody told you that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it puts so much more immediate pressure on everybody.
Fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. It explains so much about how this show turned out the way it did. Oh, man.
It's great. You placed a lot of trust in director Wakabayashi.
I had never seen the PV he directed at the time, but when I met him and talked with him and went out to dinner, I got the impression he was a creative person. In live-action films, there are people who shoot like craftsmen. There may be some in animation as well. Maybe. Who knows? But, here we go. But there are people who are not like that. I believe that people who are not like that can create amazing things. I think he's the type of person who can't accept or deliver anything less than the best possible quality.
Looking at the camera.
I believed he would make something good in the end. Oh, man. Maybe he is, but...
Yeah, I guess in the end that wouldn't be his call. When it comes down to we have no money or time. Oop. But yeah, this one is very important. We gotta get to this one. When you were writing the script, did you make any detailed decisions about the structure in advance?
This is the same for live-action dramas, but I decided on a rough landing for each episode. It's the same for live-action dramas, but I have a rough idea of where each episode will take place, and then I think about it as I write. I try to develop the story from the point of view as if I were in the world of the story, so that it doesn't become boring. If a scene becomes too long or suffocating, it's time to move on to another scene. That's just my way of writing.
So they ask him about this structure, and the answer is, I structure each episode...
Yeah, with a rough landing. I mean, maybe...
by itself.
Like, maybe what he means is like a rough landing for each episode. It's like, I have a rough outline of the story in my head, and I know where each episode has to get to. That potentially could make sense.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Spoilers. But yeah, I'm pretty sure considering what's later in the interview, this means, he just really focuses on it episode by episode. He wants to make each episode very exciting.
Cube, does that remind you of anyone?
There's a lot of Ruby to Ruby in this interview.
All right, so.
All right. In live-action dramas, there are many one-hour slots. How did you feel the rhythm and feel of animating a half-hour drama?
The number of scripts is a good guide. I've been doing this job for a long time, so my sense of time is ingrained in my body. I was able to concentrate on one episode a day. This is an important thing to do when creating something. It's hard to come up with good ideas when you're tired. The main character needs to be connected to all the main characters. So, from the beginning, I started with the idea that it would be interesting to have children who don't go to school as a way of life take the lead. I thought it would make a stronger impression on the viewers if I placed a character who is not the main character of a typical anime. This is one of the elements of the documentary style of this work. I imagine the reason why she was drawn and built up various elements of the story, such as the bullying and the suicide of a close friend. Like, again, with this thing of this guy not knowing much about anime, Ai's really like a character I have never seen in anime before. Hey.
You know who's never starred in anime? Hikikomori's. I've never seen a single fucking anime starring a shut-in.
Yeah, it's never happened. God damn it.
That's so awesome. She really stands out because of how she stays home from school, which I know is very untypical.
God damn it.
Oh, the next one has super big silent voice vibes.
Oh, shit.
And is very mysterious.
Okay.
Wait, this is translated weirdly, so just know that as I read it. Ioto has heterochromia for the story of a bullied girl.
That's one of the reasons. The first one is to show that he is a person of two colors, symbolizing that he sees both the real world and the world of eggs.
It's obviously supposed to be she.
Yeah. The other reason is to put the reason for the bullying in a place that has nothing to do with her own personality. If the reason why she's being bullied is attributed to her, it would be the affirmation of the bullying if there is a similar person in reality.
You know, if she deserved the bullying,
yeah.
then people who are like her might be like, I guess I deserve the bullying?
I mean,
what?
This is the thing. I think, like I said in the last episode, as silly as the being bullied because you have heterochromia thing is, as in, like, that's like, it's a silly reason because you have red eyes, you get bullied. People do get bullied for completely random, stupid reasons. And that's not the point of the bullying.
Yeah.
So he's almost onto a point there. But yeah, the idea that, well, you know, you've got to be careful because we wouldn't want to say the bullying was justified.
And it's like, oh, no one ever gets bullied for how they look.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too.
What? Next is Nehru Aonuma, who reveals new faces in the second half of the story, and which will lead to a surprising development in the end.
This is something I haven't even told Wakabayashi, but there is a part of the second half that is based on the theme of Pinocchio. Fucking hell.
This is something I haven't even told the director yet. Told ya. Wait, but keep going.
Actually, it wasn't set up that way from the beginning, but as I was writing, the story progressed, and as a result, the story of Frill was born. In the first half of the story, I tries to save her friend who committed suicide, and it turns out that the reason for her suicide is not just because she was sad or in pain, but also because there might have been someone who was pushing her towards the temptation of death. Then at the end of the story, we find out about Frill, about the true intention of Akka and Uraka, and finally Nehru's background, and then the whole story becomes clear. In the beginning, I was planning to finish this story in 1 or 2 episodes, but as the plot grew and grew, I realized I couldn't finish it all in just 12. Rika's parent is also a poisonous parent in the series, but I don't think she is that bad of a person, but also there was no time to show that in the TV series. Right, so Frill wasn't part of the story from the beginning. And also that thing about, so what, hang on, is that implying that Koito died because of Frill?
Yeah, but I think that, I guess by the time he actually wrote the last episode, he no longer wanted that.
Yeah, because it's like... But that would explain, like, you know, at the start it was all about Koito, but then by the end I didn't really care about Koito anymore, which is why I wrote her off in 30 seconds with a horrible backstory.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, so let's say Frill was involved with her, and the idea is that Frill was making her act kind of crazy. How long was she under Frill's influence? Was she under Frill's influence when she caused trouble at her other school and the guy killed himself? Like, what the fuck? Is she super inefficient? What are you talking about? And also, they said that she accidentally slipped.
I know, yeah, well that's what Mr. Sawaki says. Also, once again, the hubris of, oh yeah, we're definitely going to get a second season. So I can just not finish the story this time. It's fine.
I still don't but he thinks the story became clear, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and also, so there wasn't a lot of communication between him and the director, and also clearly the story wasn't all written up or outlined or anything up front.
Yeah, he was making it up as he went along. And he was making it up as he went along, not even giving the entire thing to to the people who were trying to make this fucking show.
I'm putting my head in my hands, and I'm saying, Phoenix, do you know another property where the writers keep coming up with new ideas, but they don't think about how that affects the older episodes and how that makes the older episodes make less sense with the story? Do you think there's maybe another maybe another property where there's an orange-haired girl who's very important with freckles, who's a robot and is based on the theme of Pinocchio? What the fuck is going on?
We're being pranked.
Oh my god, it's so good. Just the idea that's like, and then I thought of Frill and decided to do a Pinocchio thing. And also, there's nothing, Frill doesn't have an arc that has anything to do with Pinocchio.
Not really.
Her parents made her, and she acted the way that they made her, and then they killed her, and now she kills other girls, just like Pinocchio. Oh wait, I guess Pinocchio is Nehru, obviously, but I mean, I guess that's for season 2 then. He suddenly thought of a thing that he could set up for a different season about...
Cube. I wonder if she ever became human.
God damn it. That's the best ending of Pinocchio. It just like cuts off halfway and then says, I wonder if Pinocchio ever became human. But I'll never forget that thrilling season.
Pinocchio kills himself.
Maybe he became human. So let's find out about another great character. So, what kind of person is Rika Kawai?
I tried to write about a junior high school student who was mature enough to be a high school student. Yeah, definitely the most mature character in the cast. Even though she is a bit troublesome, she has a charm that draws people in and makes them want to look at her. If I made a character too dark, she would overlap with I, so I tried to make her the complete opposite. A character that hides her darkness with a cheerful side. Yeah, that's not I. That's definitely not I. That's definitely not the way I was done on the show. Out of all the 4 girls, Rika is the one who grows more attached to her wonder animal. That's right. It's the power of her upbringing that makes her feel the most strongly about her wonder animal. I wrote the 7th episode to show this. She is basically a child who affirms everything, and people who can affirm their weaknesses are strong. However, even Rika shows fear at the end.
So, I love, because I know what he means about a junior high school student who's mature enough to be a high school student. He means all the stuff about, like, really shitty sexual things that she knows about. Because that's the only way in which you could call her quote-unquote mature, more mature than the other girls, is the fact that she's like, hey, guys often abuse their adoptive, and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So that's how you know that she's more mature than the others.
Yeah, because she knows about sex. God damn it.
Awesome. When I think of Rika, what I think of is mature.
Yeah, exactly.
Emotionally mature.
God damn it.
However, I was able to overcome her fear.
Ai is surprisingly strong and has learned from Koito's death that pretending to ignore the situation will bring pain to her. She jumps into the fray, held together by the part of her that says if she doesn't push forward without thinking, she herself will be destroyed. Going into battle at this point is a refrain from the first episode. I won't pretend I don't see it anymore. This is where I thought Ai's brilliance as a protagonist could shine through. The same goes for when she and Nero took Kotobuki off life support. A normal protagonist would have done the righteous thing by stopping Nehru, but Ai is able to be sensible and approachable. I think Ai became more like the main character in the latter half of the story. What?
She doesn't change at all in the latter half of the story.
No, like she's always the main character, and also the life support thing was fucking nonsense.
And hey, when did I learn to stop ignoring things and deal with them? Oh right, first episode.
Yeah, very first episode. Very fucking first one.
Awesome.
This guy is a criminal.
It's so good. What do you think of Momoe Sawaki?
Oh no. She is a girl who can be close to the audience's point of view. In addition to that, Momoe acts as a lubricant for Ai, Nero, and Rika, who have a difficult time forming friendships on their own. What? In fact, there are such groups of 4, aren't there? The first thing I wanted to do was create a character that didn't overlap with the other 5, and since Rika has a tomboyish personality, I decided to include a girl who was visually masculine but girly on the inside. She was a bit fed up with being wooed by girls because of her appearance, and Kaoru was the first person with whom she had a romantic relationship.
She's so fucking sick of these goddamn gays.
Also, she doesn't look masculine at all. And also, she's the one who helps the other 3 form a friendship? What? She's the last one there.
Well, yeah, that would make more sense if the other 3 never hung out before, but they did.
Yeah.
They did all meet up and hang out some before she joined the group, so it's not like they only started hanging out together because she showed up.
Yeah, and also, if anyone's the lubricant, it's Ai. Ai's the one who's like the fucking Genki one who makes them all friends. Ai pushes herself onto fucking Nehru. Ai puts up with Rika. Ai goes out of her way to make Momoe feel better. Like, that's... Also, Kaoru and her were romantic then?
I mean, I guess Kaoru was her first kiss.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, technically her lesbian friend was the first kiss. Didn't they kiss?
I guess she just hugged her.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't count because they're both girls.
Yeah.
How much of your own personal relationships did you include in the story?
I can only remember the fun I had. For example, a friend asked me for advice on a heavy topic. If you are an adult, you listen to your friend sympathetically. But if you are from the generation of the main characters, you can reply, let's not talk about such dark things. And then the person who asked for advice could say, I'm sorry, it was really dark. I think that is the beauty of being young. What the fuck are you talking about?
Kids these days!
These 4 people went to a world where they too might die, and after a little while, they were able to smile and laugh. If they were adults, they would either be completely lost in their own problems. But for these kids, it's still real, isn't it? It's allowed, and it makes the characters more appealing. That's what's interesting about writing teenagers.
God, obviously that part has some problems with translations, which is too bad.
Possibly, yeah. But based on the idea that this is like somewhat accurate, yeah, definitely all the characters at the end of Wonder Egg, they're all smiling and having a great time. Everyone's happy. Oh, smiling, laughing.
I'm so glad they're all able to smile and laugh. And I love how, if you're an old person, you listen sympathetically to people's problems. But if you're a kid, kids are just like, don't talk to me about that. And then you're like, sorry, I even brought it up. That's what kids be like.
Yeah. God damn it. Last question.
What was it like working on anime?
It was just a lot of fun. As I said at the beginning, I was connected to the world of anime in search of an ideal audience, and I would like to stay in this world for a while longer if possible. Good luck. What I thought when I saw the first episode was that the work of the director and his team created is wonderful. The space, the composition, the colours, the beauty of the images was truly magnificent.
True, yeah.
I believe that he and the rest of the animation staff will be able to create a great show, and I'm grateful for their efforts. Does that mean at the time of this interview he only saw the first episode?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure everything will turn out fine. Ding dong, ding lang do. And you know why everything didn't all turn out fine? Because he didn't plan anything for them. I mean, I'm sure that's not the only reason, but Jesus Christ. Obviously the first episode was using a lot of, heavy visual metaphors and stuff. And you know what makes that a lot easier? When you know what's supposed to be happening in the TV show.
Fucking amazing. Just fucking amazing.
I have so much sympathy for everyone who is not the writer on this production now.
Yeah. Just the hubris of, I'm a 50-year-old man and I'm going to write something for the kids. Because I get the kids. Know all about them.
But also it's not for the kids, but it is for the younger generation, but they shouldn't be watching it, and it's not targeted at them, but it's...
God, fucking...
And I have no idea about making things for the kids, so I'm just going to leave it to these guys, even though they have to work from my script and try to make it make sense. It's awesome. This guy's such a fucking boomer.
I like that this was posted on the Reddit. I like that there's only one comment on it, and it's a person saying, this explains a lot.
Yeah, so this Reddit, it has, what is it? Wait.
14.3 thousand members.
Yeah. So it's got a ton of people on it, but obviously at some point everyone was like, wait, this show doesn't make any fucking sense, bye.
Yeah, the posts at this point are just occasional art posts and of someone asking, can someone explain the end to me? So, yeah. Something else I'd like to talk about briefly is on the last episode, one of our commenters, Nil, put together a nice little list of some of the other shows that this guy has made, the live action ones. Just gave us some little synopses.
Evil smile. Phoenix, are you going to bring up his other stories? Like there's some negative thing about it? Like he's not allowed to ever talk about dark topics at all?
So, this is what Nil had to say. I'm sorry for the long comment, but I need space to vent about the writer's filmography. High school teacher, 1993. A high school teacher and his female student fall in love. Student also gets a rape blackmail plot. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
Pattern? I Nakiko, 1994. A preteen girl becomes homeless after burning her house down in an attempt to kill her father. Gets abused by a bandit family she joins. Eventually gets sold off to the circus and abused. Eventually pretends to be the daughter of some rich guy to enter a rich kid's school and gets bullied. She has a dog sidekick throughout this.
Look, this is good. It's dealing with real typical adult issues, you know?
Miseinen, 1995. A bunch of troubled teen boys get into gang fights and their girlfriends die, with eventually one of them accidentally shooting up a bank, so they're on the run. And someone asked, how does a kid accidentally shoot up a bank? And Nila responded, I feel terrible for even writing this, but the mentally disabled boy somehow gets a gun and accidentally pulls the trigger when his friend tries to yank it out of his hands, I'm assuming, in a bank.
Oops, like you do. Look, that's typical adult issues.
Seija no Koshin, 1998. A group of mentally disabled teens get sent to work and live in a factory where they get abused physically and sexually. Doubly offensive since you have a bunch of actors pretending to be mentally disabled.
I'm not seeing any through line in any of these, frankly. I don't even know why they brought this up.
Koino no Waltz, 2004. Blind piano girl only has her talent and her pet dog to rely on. Yes, she is abused.
See, that one, just from the description, could theoretically be good if it wasn't him.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like all of these could be. Yeah, sure. They might be interesting. Well, maybe apart from the one with all the. Apart from. Well, okay, no, sorry. Some of these could be fine. It's just this guy. No, we've watched and read 2 pieces of his work. No, he can't do this. He can't write about this stuff. He's not allowed. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's had his crack. No.
The youth.
Ashita Mama. Sorry.
Ashita Mama ga inai.
2014. Young children get abused in the foster care system. Main character's mum literally tells her, hey, my boyfriend doesn't want you, so I'm giving you away. Which is a thing you can do.
Hey, my boyfriend doesn't want you, so, like, get out of here.
I like this last one, just because, clearly Nil added this as a joke. But Our House, 2016. Japanese family gets a new American stepmom. Not offensive, but there is a scene where the American mum makes mini hamburgers for a sick child.
I love it. That's one of my favorite things is when there's like an American character or American food, but they like clearly aren't very familiar with what Americans do or eat or whatnot. And so it's just like, I don't know, hamburger. It's great.
So, and the other thing Nil mentioned is that while Japanese afternoon soap operas do go on forever, most of these shows were primetime 9 to 12 episode runs. So theoretically, he should have plenty of experience working on that kind of episode count, which is interesting.
But it sounds like, I mean, he writes episode by episode. Yeah.
Also, that high school teacher show got a sequel in 2003. Pretty much the same thing happened. It's more high school teacher and female student. This is the thing for me, like, everyone knows that Woody Allen is almost certainly a creep at this point and have noted the fact that, his movies tend to have a much older man and a much younger woman who end up in a relationship. And it's like, this guy, seems to have a preoccupation with that too.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say, I mean, maybe it's just a sexual fantasy of his that he would never act on or whatever. I'm not gonna make any super big assumptions, but sure fucking weird that keeps showing up in your work and is goofy and you're goofy, man.
Yeah, he likes to write about it quite a bit. The other thing that, more salient point about all of this shit is that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's writing about these topics from a place of extreme ignorance. Even if, theoretically, he was working through his trauma in talking about these shows.
Wait, do we just want to talk about what happened on Twitter? We're just going to keep hinting at it?
Yeah, okay. Some fucking chuds. So Cube tweeted out on the Anime/Ye account this list and just said, yeah, this makes sense.
I saw we.
And some chud found it and ran on the assumption that what we were saying was that you could never make a show about these sort of topics ever. It's completely unfair, and we were trying to cancel this man. And then a bunch of other chuds got on board and, kept sending us their chud opinions about how we were babies who just want shows that are about nice things all the time. And it was annoying. Which
you were all familiar with. We never watch anything dark or make any content that is dark. Never.
Never. It's not our thing. Ooh-woo.
But yeah, that was a whole shit show for a while there.
That was a shit show for a couple of hours. Just happened to be the hours when we were supposed to be asleep, so that was kind of annoying.
I did not get much sleep. That was the funny thing, is you're trying to cancel this guy, blah, 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 when it was the comment was, makes sense.
Yeah. And there were some people who were running on the, just assuming he was a pedophile based on this. And it's I don't think we don't know that. We really genuinely don't know. We can't say for sure that that's the case.
Yeah.
But we can say that he's a bad writer because we've actually watched and read 2 of his things. And
that's my underlying point. He's a hack.
Yeah.
I am comfortable saying that he's a fucking hack.
Yeah. I think that's the more likely than him, this being his fetish. He's just a hack who writes edgy shit, and the edgiest shit thing he can think of is a young, innocent girl being abused. It's not that he's into the girls being abused, it's that that's a thing that gets a reaction from an audience quite easily, and it's a well he can just keep going back to over and over and over again. And does.
Look, he just wants to make a story for the young people, for the next generation. So it's just a good story for the next generation about the girls being sexually abused.
God damn it. Guy's a hack. That's what he is. He's a hack.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hopefully that explains a little bit more of what was going on with Egg.
Yeah. Again, when I was talking about like people working on the show having no idea what was supposed to be happening, I thought I was slightly exaggerating, but apparently I wasn't, and that's fucking amazing.
Apparently you were fucking spot on. Oh, man.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, I would have been very surprised if you told me that Frill was planned from the beginning. That I was pretty damn sure wasn't the case. And so it's nice to have that confirmed. But the fact that, like, oh yeah, I've written this aspect and I haven't even told the director about this yet. I'm telling you this for the first time as the director continues to work on the show. That's fucking amazing.
Clearly, like, yeah, maybe he probably finished the scripts at this point while he was only just having seen episode 1. But don't forget how animation pipelines work. Each episode would have been in production for quite a while at that point.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the super specifics of the animation production pipeline, but I remember there was a whole thing about like how they were only entering a certain stage of the keys 3 days before the episode was due, and that was in an interview with one of the people working on the show. And I don't know how much time you usually have, but it was definitely not 3 days.
No, it's definitely not enough time.
So yeah, shit was super fucked.
The important thing to remember about this whole thing is to never, ever, ever question us again.
Home. It's dork.